I should have known something was off when Vanessa stopped calling me babe. It was subtle, little things, like how her voice got clipped whenever Leo's name came up, or how she always seemed to just run into him around the city. Still, I didn't think much of it. I was sick, like, actually sick, some kind of flu or maybe a sinus infection that just wouldn't quit. I'd taken a few days off work, which for me is rare. Being an investment analyst means you're always on, always moving, always chasing the next decimal point. My name's Julian. I'm 35. I live in Boston, and at the time, I was 2 months out from marrying Vanessa, or at least I thought I was. That day, I had one job: pick up a package Vanessa accidentally shipped to Leo's loft. She was working late, I was off sick, and Leo, my younger brother, the golden boy, the charming screw-up, said he'd leave the box just inside the door for me. Come by whenever, he'd texted, as if that wouldn't raise a red flag. Leo doesn't do casual favors. Not without an angle. Still, I went. Leo's place sits in the South End, on top of some overpriced boutique I never remember the name of. I buzzed in and walked up. His front door was unlocked. That was my second red flag. Leo, I called out, stepping inside. Nothing. The box was near the couch. I almost walked out. I really almost did. But there was a sound, a soft laugh, hushed but close. And then I saw it. Them. Vanessa, my fiancée, half-dressed, straddling my brother. Her blouse was unbuttoned. His hands were all over her like they'd been there 100 times before. They both froze. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. My stomach dropped out of my body. My vision tunneled. Leo had the nerve to smirk, like he'd just pulled a prank and couldn't wait for the punchline. Jules, he said, breathless. This isn't what it looks like. Vanessa scrambled off him, trying to button her shirt, like that could undo anything. Julian, listen. Don't. I croaked. Leo stood up, shirtless, hair a mess. Look, man. She reminded me of someone, okay? I wasn't thinking. Someone. I asked, stunned at the gall. He shrugged, like the words cost him nothing. Amelia. And there it was. That name. Amelia. The one woman Leo claimed had wrecked him in college. The mythical love of his life, who, according to him, ghosted after one night in New York. For years, he used her like a security blanket to justify every stupid choice. I can't open up, Jules. Not after Amelia. You wouldn't get it. Amelia changed me. I used to believe him. I looked at Vanessa. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. I turned and walked out. It wasn't dramatic. No yelling, no slamming doors. Just this cold, hollow silence pressing against my ribs like something was trying to crawl out of me. I got back to my car, sat there, and let it all sink in. My fiancé, my brother, and that excuse. She reminded me of Amelia. The funny thing was, right then, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt calculation. I felt the sharp edge of something I hadn't known was in me. If Amelia really was the ghost that haunted Leo, maybe it was time to call her back into the light. I put the car in drive and started planning. Leo had taken everything from me, and I was going to return the favor. I didn't sleep much after that night at Leo's loft. The image of Vanessa on him, laughing like nothing mattered, kept replaying every time I closed my eyes. But grief never fit me right. It always came out laced with logic. I couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Amelia. It had always been her. Whenever Leo screwed up, cheated, ghosted, bailed, he'd blame her. The one who got away. The muse, the wound, the excuse. But in all these years, I'd never met her. No photos, no last name, just stories. A perfect ghost. So I decided to find her. It wasn't that hard. Leo once said they met at a robotics startup event back in college. Something about a late-night rooftop conversation that changed his view on love. A quick LinkedIn search with the right filters turned up exactly one Amelia who matched. Mia Alvarez, MIT alum, robotics engineer, now based in Cambridge. Her profile picture was clean, minimal, no filters, no fluff. Just a woman who looked like she didn't have time for bullshit. I sent her a message. Hi Mia, I'm Julian. I work in early-stage tech investments and came across your name from an old attendee list for the Boston Founder Series. I'd love to chat briefly about a startup idea if you're open. Also, random, but do you happen to know a guy named Leo Harris? She replied an hour later. Hi Julian. Sure, happy to chat. Leo Harris. Doesn't ring a bell. Should I? I actually laughed out loud. I scheduled a coffee meeting. We met the next morning at a cafe near Kendall Square. She showed up early. No makeup. Laptop bag over one shoulder. She looked sharp and busy. I like that. I'm guessing you're not here to pitch me a startup, she said, before I even sat down. I smiled. No, not really. Then what's this about? I paused, then said it. My brother used your name to justify ruining my life. He said you broke his heart, said you changed him forever after one night in New York. You apparently ghosted him. Her eyes narrowed. That's absurd. I remember him now, I think. He tried to flirt with me after a panel. I told him I had a boyfriend, and we talked for, 5 minutes. I nodded. That sounds more like it. She leaned back, arms crossed. So what? You came here to fact-check his sob story? Sort of, I said. Then I told her everything. What I walked in on, what Leo said, and how tired I was of him skating through life on charm and half-truths. I want to break his ego. Publicly, surgically, and cleanly. And I think you're the only person who ever left a mark on him that he didn't control. She stared at me for a long time. Then slowly, she smiled. You want me to pretend to date you? For a little while. Just enough to mess with him. Nothing crazy. No fake proposals or tabloids. She stirred her coffee. You're serious? Dead serious. There was a long pause. Then she looked up at me and grinned. I've always wanted to play the bad guy just once. And just like that, the plan was in motion. 2 weeks after our meeting, Mia and I walked into the Everly Tech Partners mixer like we belonged there. The room was full of glass walls, bad jazz, and people pretending they weren't sizing each other up. Perfect setting for an ego like Leo's to orbit. Mia looked incredible in a navy jumpsuit and black blazer. Minimal, sleek, sharp. She didn't try to be flashy, but head still turned when she walked in. She didn't flinch. Remember, I said quietly, holding 2 drinks and scanning the crowd. He's the one who needs to believe he's winning, not you. Mia smirked. Oh, don't worry. I know exactly how to bait a narcissist. Leo showed up late, of course, just as I predicted. He strolled in like he owned the place, draped in his usual uniform, tight charcoal Henley, designer sneakers, and a pair of sunglasses he didn't need. He gave air kisses, made a show of shaking hands, and let the crowd orbit around him for a while. I intercepted him near the bar. Julian, he said, drawing out my name like he was still the favored son. Didn't think you'd show your face. I smiled tightly. It's a networking event. I'm here for work. And actually, I wanted to introduce you to someone. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued the moment I motioned for Mia. She walked over, completely calm, and offered her hand. Mia Alvarez, she said. I'm working with Julian on a robotics-backed logistics startup. Leo's jaw didn't drop, but something flickered behind his eyes. He knew that name, even if he couldn't place the face. He shook her hand and held it just a second too long. Leo Harris, he said, flashing his teeth. Entrepreneur/product designer. Robotics, huh? That's hot. Mia tilted her head. You're in robotics too? He laughed. I dabble. I mean, I'm not an engineer like Julian here or whatever, but I know how to see potential. I build vision. Systems, you know? She blinked, deadpan. That sounds vague. I turned away, pretending to sip my drink to hide my grin. Leo didn't miss a beat. I'd love to pick your brain sometime. Or, I don't know, grab coffee? I know this little speakeasy/bookstore/vegan brunch place. That's a lot of slashes, Mia said, letting out a polite laugh that stopped just shy of genuine. I let them talk, only stepping in to say she was single when someone else joined our circle and asked. Leo's ears practically twitched at that word. By the end of the night, I could already see it happening. Leo was leaning in too much, dropping names, telling Mia about his emotional detox year and how trauma fuels innovation. It was textbook Leo, deep-sounding nonsense masked in charm and curated pain. When Mia excused herself to make a call, Leo turned to me. Wow, he said, watching her go. Where did you even meet her? Tech conference. I lied. I was surprised she even answered my email. He nodded slowly, like he was doing math. Think she'd be into someone like me? I shrugged. She's pretty private. Doesn't give much away. Leo grinned. Challenge accepted. The next morning, Mia forwarded me his first text. Had fun chatting last night. Let's grab that coffee sometime. Unless you're too robotic to handle real connection, winking face. She added a note. This is going to be fun. And for the first time in weeks, I actually smiled. We had him. Mia and I didn't have to say much. We just showed up together. Dinners, industry events, quiet coffees on sidewalk patios, and let the silence do the work. The first time I saw Leo after the mixer, we bumped into him at a networking brunch downtown. Mia played it perfectly, a hand resting lightly on my arm, a warm laugh that made Leo glance over twice. She waved to him like an afterthought. He lit up like a match. She didn't go over. He had to come to us. Hey, he said, too casually, looking between us. Didn't know you two were a thing. I shrugged. It's new. Mia smiled just enough. We're keeping it light. He nodded. Too fast. Cool. Totally. I mean, yeah, she's great, right? Yeah, I said. She is. He looked at Mia. Still want to grab that coffee sometime? Mia tilted her head like she was trying to remember who he was. Oh, right. I've just been swamped lately. Sorry I never texted back. Sure. Totally. No pressure, he said, laughing too loud. After that, the real game began. Mia and I started posting photos. Never overt, just enough to needle Leo. Her hand in mine on a rooftop. A shot of us laughing in a cab. A cryptic caption under a picture of our joined coffee mugs. One of us takes theirs black, the other's still bitter. Within days, Leo started spiraling. He sent her texts like they were old friends catching up. Hey stranger, smirking face. Just thinking about that convo we had about creativity and chaos. You really stuck with me. Want to do something spontaneous? I know this gallery that just opened. Only weirdos and geniuses allowed. She didn't ignore him. She answered just enough to keep the hook in. Oh, I'm sure you'd fit right in. Not sure I'm the spontaneous type. Ask Julian. He has the spreadsheet. Leo tried everything. Philosophy, vulnerability, fake humility. He even sent her a photo of his dog with the caption, "At least someone in my life still believes in me." At a family cookout the following weekend, the cracks really started to show. Leo arrived late in a linen shirt with a bottle of wine no one asked for. He made a beeline for Mia, who had just finished chatting with my aunt. He handed her the bottle with both hands like it was a gift from the gods. "I remembered you said you liked dry reds." "I said I liked robots more than people," Mia replied, grinning. Leo chuckled too loud. Same vibe. I stood nearby, sipping my drink and pretending not to watch. Mia handled him like a seasoned actress. Warm, polite, friendly, but never crossing that line. Then came the grand gesture. Halfway through the afternoon, Leo tapped a spoon against his glass. The music cut down. Conversations paused. "I just want to say something real quick," he said, standing on a patio step, trying to look humble. "You all know me. You know I've been through stuff. But recently, someone reminded me what real connection looks like. Mia, this is for you." He held up a small velvet box. I nearly choked on my beer. Mia froze, eyes wide. The whole yard went quiet. Then she smiled sweetly and said, "Leo, that's very kind. But we're just friends." You could hear the breath leave his body. People looked around, uncomfortable. Leo's face collapsed in real time. I watched him descend those patio steps with nothing but a crumpled smile and a fake laugh. And that was the moment I knew. We'd drawn first blood. It was supposed to be just another status update dinner, another chess move, another laugh at Leo's expense. But that night, Mia and I didn't talk strategy. We met at a small Italian place in Beacon Hill. No reservations, no paparazzi-style Instagram posts. Just us. For the first time, it felt like we were off the clock. Mia ordered gnocchi. I got lasagna I didn't need. We split a bottle of wine that neither of us could pronounce. For a while, we talked about work. Her team was designing a sensor for underwater robotics, and I pretended to understand more than I did. She caught me bluffing and called me out with a grin. "You're nodding like someone who's never taken apart a Roomba," she said. I laughed. Guilty. After the plates were cleared, things got quieter. The kind of quiet that doesn't press down on you. Mia toyed with her water glass, then said, "You know this wasn't supposed to be fun, right?" I looked up. "What do you mean?" "I mean this was supposed to be a mission. Tactical, strategic, ruin the douchebag kind of thing. And it's not?" She paused. "It is. But I like this. Not the game. Just this." It threw me off. For weeks, we'd been playing roles. Mia, the elusive muse. Me, the quietly scorned older brother. But somewhere in between revenge brunches and fake hand-holding, we'd stopped acting. I leaned back. "I like it too." She smiled, small and real. "You know what's sad? I don't think Leo ever asked me a single real question." "That sounds about right." "You did though," she said. "You asked what I wanted to build, why I left my last job, who I wanted to be next." I shrugged. "I wanted to know." She nodded. "I want to stop soon, Julian. The act, the plan. I think we've done enough." I didn't push back. I knew she was right. Leo was unraveling so quickly, it was almost boring now. That same night, Leo posted a black and white Instagram story. Just the words. "Some people come into your life like lightning. Not everyone understands real love when it finds them." The caption was tagged, #M. He didn't name her, but he didn't have to. Mia read it and rolled her eyes. "He's really writing poetry now?" I chuckled. "He's desperate. He's deluded," she said, more quietly. "That's the problem. He doesn't love people. He loves how they reflect him." That stuck with me. We didn't touch after that. No staged photos. No inside jokes for Leo to decode. Just a walk back to her place. At her door, she turned to me and said, "I meant what I said about liking this." I swallowed. So did I. But she didn't kiss me, and I didn't try. The plan had started as revenge. Now, it was starting to feel like something else. But Mia had already said it. We were almost done. And maybe that was the part that scared me most. The retirement gala was held at a fancy rooftop venue overlooking the Boston skyline. Dad's idea, of course. He wanted something elevated to mark the end of his 4-decade legal career. Half the city's legal elite was there. Judges, partners, former interns who now ran firms of their own, and family. I wore a navy suit. Mia wore a simple black dress. We didn't arrive together, but we didn't need to. Everyone already knew. The night started civil. Handshakes, polite small talk, the clinking of glasses, and endless toasts to Dad's steadfast integrity. I smiled when it was appropriate. Mia held her own, chatting with my cousins like she'd known them for years. Across the room, I spotted Leo circling, drink in hand, restless. He looked off. Sweat clung to his collar. His eyes kept darting between Mia and me like he couldn't decide whether to smile or snap. An hour in, he made his move. The string quartet had just finished some classical piece when Leo tapped a fork against his glass. "Can I get everyone's attention for just a minute?" he said, stepping into the center of the room like he'd just been handed a spotlight. My stomach dropped. Dad looked confused. Mom whispered something to Aunt Grace. I caught Mia's eye. She gave me the smallest shake of her head. "Not yet." Leo cleared his throat. "I know tonight's about celebrating Dad's amazing career, but if I may, I'd like to add something personal." He turned toward Mia. "I've spent a lot of my life chasing the wrong things, the wrong people. But recently, someone reminded me what real connection feels like, what honesty looks like, what love actually means." I saw the box in his hand before he even raised it. "Mia," he said, voice trembling but loud. "I know this started out as something small, but it became everything to me. I'm in love with you, and I don't care who knows it." He opened the box. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother actually clutched her pearls, and Mia, God bless her, didn't flinch. She stepped forward slowly, took a deep breath, then said, in the calmest voice I've ever heard, "Leo, this was never real." Dead silence. "You don't know me," she continued, gently but firmly. "You built a fantasy around a version of me you created in your head. I was a placeholder for whatever you were trying to prove to yourself." Leo laughed once, hollow. "Is this some kind of joke?" "No," I said, stepping beside her. "But your whole life kind of is." The crowd turned, eyes wide. "I walked in on you and Vanessa 5 weeks before our wedding," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "You blamed it on Amelia." "On Mia. Said she broke you." Mia folded her arms. "You barely remember our one conversation, but you turned me into some tragic myth to excuse everything you did." "Julian," Leo started. "No," I said, stepping closer. "You've spent years charming your way through people, manipulating them, lying to cover the damage. Ask Mom, ask Mark, ask Vanessa." Heads turned. A few family members nodded, slowly, uncomfortably. Even Dad cleared his throat and said, "Maybe it's time we stop pretending this isn't a pattern." Leo looked around like a man drowning with no land in sight. "You all planned this." "No," I said. "You did. The second you touched what wasn't yours." He looked back at Mia, still clutching the ring box like it might save him. She took a step back. "I was never yours," she said. Leo stared at her, then at me. Then he turned and walked out without another word. No applause. No music, just the sound of a golden boy collapsing under his own myth. After the gala, things went quiet. No texts, no emails, no cryptic Instagram stories from Leo, just stillness. Mia and I didn't speak for a few days. Not because of anything bad, there was just nothing left to scheme. The plan was over. The curtain had closed, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't sure what came next. I spent a lot of that week alone, worked from home, took long walks, caught up on things I'd been avoiding, my diet, my sleep, my own damn thoughts. I thought I'd feel triumphant, but mostly, I just felt hollow. Then, one afternoon, an envelope showed up in my mailbox. No return address, just my name in blue ink, Leo's handwriting. Inside was a letter, 3 pages, handwritten. No dramatic preamble, no fake charm, just this. "Julian, I've been in therapy." That's not a sentence I ever thought I'd write, but here we are. The therapist asked me to list every person I've hurt and why. Your name took up most of the page. I don't know how to justify what I did. I used people. I rewrote stories to fit my own version of pain. I thought heartbreak gave me a license to be reckless. It didn't, and I don't expect you to forgive me. That's not what this is. I just wanted you to know I see it now. I see you, not as the background character I convinced myself you were, but as the brother who never stopped showing up, even when I didn't deserve it. I'm sorry. I don't expect a response. I just wanted to say it. Leo. I read it twice, then a third time, and then I put it away in a drawer, unsure how I felt. That weekend, I got a message from Mia. "Hey, want to meet for coffee?" No plans, no updates, just coffee. We met at the park instead. She wore sneakers and a hoodie with a robotics logo I didn't recognize. I brought 2 coffees and no expectations. We sat on a bench under a tree that had just started to turn red. "So," she said, sipping her drink, "did he finally vanish into the startup void?" I nodded. "Sort of. He wrote me a letter. Apologizing. Yeah, no excuses. Just clarity." She stared ahead for a beat. "That's something." "It is." We sat there for a while, not saying much, just watching people pass. Couples, joggers, kids chasing squirrels. Eventually, Mia said, "You know, when I first agreed to help you, I thought it'd be like a social experiment. Mess with a narcissist, walk away clean." But it wasn't clean. "No," I said quietly. "It wasn't. I liked you more than I expected," she admitted, glancing at me. "Still do." I met her eyes. "Same. But we didn't start this the right way," she added. "No," I said. "We didn't. So what do we do now?" I thought about that. Thought about how good it felt not to plot, not to calculate every word. Just be. "We start from where we are," I said. "No revenge. No roles. Just real. Mia smiled. Sounds scary. It does, I said, but I think it's worth it. She bumped her shoulder lightly against mine. That was the last time we talked about Leo. The rest of the conversation was about everything else. Music, travel, dumb childhood stories. It wasn't a strategy. It was a beginning. A year later, the city skyline was a memory. Mia and I lived in a 2-bedroom rental near Rockport, not far from the harbor. The air smelled like salt and cedar, and every morning, the gulls yelled louder than any alarm clock. She taught robotics part-time at a local community college. I picked up consulting projects when I felt like it. Some days, we didn't do much of anything at all, and that was the point. It was New Year's Eve. We were walking the beach trail, coffee thermoses in hand, boots crunching in the frostbitten sand. Mia wore that oversized green coat she loved. I wore a hat I'd never have worn in Boston. When we got back to the house, there was a card in the mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting before I even opened it. Leo, just a simple folded card. Happy New Year. Wishing you both peace and good things. L. No flair, no guilt trip, just plain. I handed it to Mia. She read it and nodded once. Sounds like progress, she said. We didn't talk about him much anymore. He'd gone quiet after the gala, deleted most of his social media, stepped back from the startup world, stopped trying to be the center of every room. Last we heard, he was working at a nonprofit in Vermont that helped teens build their first businesses. No one knew if it would stick, but for the first time, it felt like maybe it could. Things with my family had changed, too. Mom called more. Dad, after decades of brushing Leo's messes under the rug, finally started asking how I was instead of how Leo was. My younger cousin started coming to me for advice, instead of treating me like background noise. But none of that compared to this. Waking up next to Mia, watching her teach her students how to solder a sensor array, watching her burn pancakes and swear at the smoke detector, watching her laugh at a dumb joke I wasn't even sure she'd heard. We'd built something, not out of spite, out of truth. We were walking back from the beach later that afternoon when she kicked at a shell and said, "Revenge makes a great origin story." I smiled. Yeah, but what do we call the sequel? I looked out at the water, quiet and endless. Then I looked at her. Peace. She smirked. Bit boring. Not for us, I said. We earned boring. She grabbed my hand. Fine, but at least let's make it the kind of boring with fire pits and weird hobbies and way too many books we never finish. Deal. That night, we sat on the porch with blankets and whiskey and the faint sound of fireworks from the next town over. No drama. No performance. Just two people, finally still. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had something to prove. I wasn't the guy Leo stepped over. I wasn't the groom who got cheated on. I was just Julian. And I was finally, completely, okay.